Hi, I'm Anna of All Trades, and today I am here on our new property that we just purchased in Nashville, Tennessee. I cannot wait to show you around and walk you through some of the projects that we're going to be tackling immediately upon arrival here.
I get my hands dirty, they show me no mercy, so I just keep working.
When we bought our farm in Seattle, it was an absolute dump. I was so naive and so hopeful when we got started that I could only see the potential, and I was able to look past the many hurdles we were gonna have to overcome to be able to turn it into the place that we're now leaving back in Seattle. And this place has two kind of different things. First of all, it has a barn that doesn't really need a whole lot of infrastructural changes for the animals. So this is pretty much ready for them to go. We'll do, some readying for them. But other than that, it's kind of a plug and play type thing. The other thing that's really different about this property is that the house is already fully ready. It doesn't need renovations. We'll obviously add our own stylistic touches to it, but it's a really great jumping off point. Aside from the barn and the house though, we are starting over. The property as it is now has an amazing, beautiful boarded fence basically surrounding the entire property. But that kind of fence is not ideal for the kind of livestock that we will be having and bringing obviously from Seattle. My smaller animals need to have their own little paddocks and kind of heavy use areas. They also have been living on our small urban farm in Seattle, so they haven't had access to a ton of grazing grass. So it's going to be a big transition getting them used to living on more foraged food rather than hay and fed food. That's awesome for our pocketbook, but it's also a big transition. We're gonna have to create a heavy use area for the animals that doesn't have any forage so that we can still control the amount of feed that they take in each day, and then they'll be let out to pasture to roam around and play and eat to their heart's content for a couple of hours each day until we've got them more integrated into their new lifestyle here. So I'm here right now this winter to get the lay of the land and to start really thinking about how we're going to tackle all of these projects come spring. One of the things I'm really excited about is that there is an office right off of the barn, and the best part about that is that Howdy is going to be able to pop his head right in and say hello to me while I'm working. One of the other features that I'm really excited about for this office space is that there's a bathroom. And that's hugely important because this building is so far away from anything else, which is a crazy thing to consider being on actual acreage as opposed to our urban farm in Seattle. Everything is so far apart that you just have to have considerations for these kinds of things. So right off of the barn is my office. In Seattle, my office was in our house and there wasn't a whole lot of other options for that. But because our acreage is so large here in Tennessee, I actually didn't want to be separated from the animals. So one of the huge benefits of this barn is that I'm going to be able to have my office right attached to the barn, and I'll be down here working and have the animals in my close proximity all day long, which is something I'm very excited about. One big difference about this property and our place in Seattle is that the barn doesn't need to be completely rebuilt. It's actually already pretty ready. Let's go take a look inside. This barn is actually really similar in size and configuration to the one that we have in Seattle, so this is going to work out really well. We're going to configure this, and this is stalls. We'll put a little tack room in there, and then they'll kind of be able to hang out in here when there's inclement weather. One really cool thing that we have here that we didn't have in Seattle is a hayloft. One of the really cool features of this hayloft is that it has a hay elevator entrance, so we'll actually be able to load the hay with a hay elevator as hay is supposed to be loaded, as opposed to walking up and down 3 flights of stairs like we have to do currently in our Seattle barn. I'm sitting right now in what's going to be the future site of our garden. I am not 100% sure that this is going to be for the forever landing point, but as you can see, it actually has previously been used as a garden, and I'm kind of going to use that as a jumping off point. This first year on the farm, we're not going to do nearly the size or skill garden that I'm used to, because there's just going to be so much else going on. The building of the shop, the getting the animals situated, getting ourselves situated, finding our community, all those things are probably going to take precedence over that. The nice thing too is that the farming community here in Nashville is pretty vibrant already. So then if the need arises, we're able to substitute whatever we actually need to get from local CSAs and other local farmers. I'm standing right now on what we are currently planning as the site of my future shop build. Centrally located right by the barn, so I can, visit the animals just like I do in Seattle during my work day, check on them, keep them safe, all that stuff. And then it also has easy access to my office and obviously easy access to the rest of the property as well. While with most of our farm stuff, we are kind of starting over from scratch here. There are a few established fruit trees. I noticed this fig tree as we were walking around the property. There's another couple, it looks like stone fruit trees that probably aren't currently fruit bearing, but maybe after some careful pruning and fixing the soil around them, we'll maybe start producing things again. But of course, one of our other high priorities when we first move in is to get some fruit trees planted so that as we continue to establish the other stuff, they can start to grow and be producing fruit as we've developed the farm further. You're seeing right now a very small portion of the property that we now own here in Nashville, Tennessee. And obviously it's enormous. This is obviously going to be a huge undertaking. And as much as I want to dive both feet in all at once and do all the things all right now, we're gonna have to do these things in stages and come up with a good plan for long-term stewardship of this land. We have a lot of pastured land here, and as much as I want to jump right in and get cattle right away, the most prudent option is to do what the previous owners of this property did, which is to lease part of that pastured land to cattle farmers. So that's what we're gonna do for the first season, and then we'll see how well we are established next year and if we can get some cattle and sheep of our own here, or who knows what's going to happen after we move in. Building up this farm and my workshops is going to be a very, very big project because not only are we basically starting over, we're also starting over with something 10 times bigger than what we had in Seattle. So needless to say, it's going to be no issue keeping these hands dirty. I am so excited to watch all of that unfold here, and I hope you're just as excited to join me along the journey. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and for supporting my channel in that way. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can find me on Patreon and support me there. You can buy one of my I also have my Fluffy Butt Friday t-shirts. Also, you gotta see the back. And the link for those is below as well. Hope you leave this video feeling challenged, inspired, and excited to get outside and to do things with your own hands as well. Cheers. All right. A ton of pasture land, and the ladybugs are everywhere. Say goodbye to glasses, say goodbye to lens caps. It's amazing that I can have sunglasses. Here we are in Nashville rather than Seattle. Big plus.